So you thought you'd have to wait for Samsung's big launch event to really see the Galaxy S26 Ultra? Think again. The Galaxy S26 Ultra is practically an open book already, thanks to an early retail unit that has found its way into the wild and onto social media. And this isn't some blurry, half-baked leak. We're talking about full hands-on footage of a boxed retail Galaxy S26 Ultra shown off days before Samsung even makes it official. A creator managed to buy the Galaxy S26 Ultra from a local market, where the retailer apparently had no issue selling the phone ahead of launch. That early sale has turned into one of the most revealing Galaxy S26 Ultra leaks yet, and it shines a spotlight on several important details, especially the S Pen, which might be far more controversial than expected. Let's start with the big one, the S Pen itself. According to the leaker, Samsung's Galaxy S26 Ultra once again ships with an S Pen that does not support Bluetooth. That's right, just like the Galaxy S25 Ultra, the S26 Ultra's S Pen cannot be used as a remote control from a distance. No Bluetooth means you lose those air features that longtime Note and Ultra fans might remember, like using the S Pen as a remote shutter for the camera, flipping through slides in a presentation, or controlling media playback without physically touching the phone. In practical terms, this means if you liked standing a few feet away from your phone and snapping group photos with a click of the S Pen button, that's off the table here. You'll need to physically interact with the screen again. For casual users, that might be a minor inconvenience. But for power users who have grown used to the S Pen acting as more than just a stylus, it's a real step back, especially on a device that's supposed to be Samsung's ultimate productivity and creativity phone. This isn't a surprise if you've been following the series closely, because Samsung already removed Bluetooth from the S Pen on the Galaxy S25 Ultra. Still, many were hoping the Galaxy S26 Ultra would quietly bring Bluetooth back. According to this early hands-on, that's not happening. If you're buying the S26 Ultra, you should expect an S Pen that works brilliantly on screen but not as a wireless remote. Now, the second S Pen detail is more unexpected and a bit odd. The Galaxy S26 Ultra appears to have a slightly more rounded design compared to some earlier Ultra models. This new shape has a subtle but noticeable impact on how the S Pen fits inside the phone. Because of the softer, less boxy edges, the S Pen silo can't sit as deeply and neatly in a perfectly symmetrical way. As a result, the S Pen ejection port doesn't line up perfectly square with the rest of the bottom frame. Instead, one side of the opening sits a little further in than the other. On its own, that might sound like a tiny design quirk, but it gets stranger when you see how the S Pen actually seats inside the device. When the S Pen is inserted in the correct orientation, the end of the stylus sits perfectly flush with the bottom of the phone. It looks clean and intentional, exactly the way you'd expect from a flagship device. However, if you insert the S Pen the other way around, the end of the stylus sticks out slightly on one side. And according to the video, there doesn't seem to be anything physically stopping you from inserting it incorrectly. No mechanical lock, no hard stop, just a slanted tip that can sit either way. Because the end of the S Pen is slanted, you end up with two possible positions. One where it's neatly aligned with the phone's frame, and one where it looks slightly off, with a bit of the stylus poking out unevenly. Functionally, the pen still goes in. It's not like you're going to break anything by inserting it wrong. But visually, it's the kind of thing that could drive detail-oriented users crazy. If you're the type of person who wants everything perfectly symmetrical and flush, seeing the S Pen sitting at an angle or sticking out more than it should might be a constant irritation. In the leaked videos, you can actually see the S Pen seated incorrectly at first, before the orientation is corrected and it finally sits properly flush. It's a small design quirk, but on a phone this expensive and premium, small details matter. The way the S Pen docks is part of the Ultra identity, and this slightly awkward fit is going to be a talking point once more people get the phone in hand. The S Pen questions aside, the leak also reveals some genuinely exciting upgrades on the Galaxy S26 Ultra, starting with a new privacy display feature that Samsung appears to be pushing as one of the headline additions. In the hands-on footage, the privacy display is shown in action, and it looks impressive. While exact technical details aren't fully confirmed in the leak, the basic idea is clear. This mode makes it much harder for people next to you to see what's on your screen. Think of it like having a built-in privacy filter that reduces side viewing angles. When privacy display is turned on, content remains visible to the person directly in front of the phone, but becomes significantly less readable from the sides. This is especially useful if you're often using your phone in public, on the train, on a plane, in a cafe, or in the office, where strangers or colleagues might be able to glance over and see your messages, emails, or sensitive information. Instead of using a physical privacy screen protector, Samsung appears to be building this behavior directly into the Galaxy S26 Ultra's display tech and software. From the leaked footage, the transition into privacy mode looks smooth, and the effect seems quite strong. It appears Samsung is trying to balance usability with security here. Keep the phone perfectly usable for you, while washing out or obscuring viewing angles so that shoulder surfers get almost nothing. If it works as well in day-to-day life as it does in the leak, the privacy display could become a standout feature that separates the Galaxy S26 Ultra from many other flagships. The leak also backs up one of the most important specs for power users: battery capacity. According to the retail unit's information, the Galaxy S26 Ultra is packing a 5,000 mAh battery. That number should sound familiar because it matches what Samsung has used in several previous Ultra models. While some might be disappointed not to see a larger number, 5,000 mAh is still a very strong capacity, especially when combined with Samsung's ongoing optimizations in efficiency, display tech, and chipset performance. If Samsung has refined the software and hardware well, that 5,000 mAh battery on the Galaxy S26 Ultra should still deliver all-day battery life for most users, even with heavy use. For a device with a big, bright display and a built-in S Pen, maintaining that capacity level is crucial, and this leak essentially confirms that Samsung isn't cutting corners here. Beyond the S Pen and the battery, the overall takeaway from this early Galaxy S26 Ultra hands-on is simple. The phone is basically ready, and what we're seeing in this retail unit is very likely what buyers will get once it officially launches. The hardware looks polished, the software appears to be final or very close to it, and major features like the privacy display and S Pen behavior are already locked in. Of course, there are still plenty of questions that only a full review or official announcement can answer, like complete camera details, long-term performance, charging speeds, and how well that privacy display holds up in bright outdoor conditions. But in terms of design, S Pen functionality, and key features, the Galaxy S26 Ultra is no longer a mystery. So to quickly recap what this massive Galaxy S26 Ultra leak tells us, the Galaxy S26 Ultra is already in some markets in retail form, and one of those units has been fully showcased online. The S Pen does not support Bluetooth, continuing the change Samsung made with the Galaxy S25 Ultra, which means no more remote camera shutter or wireless controls from a distance. The new, more rounded design of the phone leads to a slightly awkward S Pen fit, where the pen can be inserted incorrectly and stick out unevenly, even though it still works. A new privacy display mode appears to be one of the headline features, dramatically limiting side viewing angles and keeping on-screen content more private in public spaces. And finally, the phone is confirmed to pack a 5,000 mAh battery, maintaining the large capacity standard we expect from Samsung's Ultra line. All of this is happening before Samsung even steps on stage to reveal the Galaxy S26 Ultra. By the time the company makes it official, many potential buyers will have already seen the phone in action, complete with its strengths, quirks, and controversial decisions, especially around the S Pen.